In the summer of 2015, Yellowstone National Park was already deep into peak season. Campsites were full, ranger stations were overwhelmed, and the winding roads through the park moved at a crawl under the weight of RVs and rental cars. To most visitors, it was just another postcard-perfect year. But on July 18th, a disappearance would quietly join the park's growing list of unresolved mysteries.
Ever wondered where you really come from? Not the stories, but the science. On this channel, we decode real DNA, uncover lost ancestries, and bring ancient genomes to life through cinematic storytelling. If that excites you, subscribe for weekly insights. Like the video to support science-based history, and drop a comment. Your questions help guide what we explore next.
Her name was Emily Carter. She was 19 years old. Emily had arrived in Yellowstone 2 days earlier with a cheap rental car, a tent, and a carefully mapped itinerary scribbled in a notebook. She wasn't reckless. According to friends, she was methodical, cautious, and more introverted than adventurous. She had just finished her first year of college and wanted one thing before returning home: silence. No phone notifications, no deadlines, just space. On the morning she vanished, Emily parked her car near the Fairy Falls trailhead, a well-known route popular with day hikers. The trail itself was not dangerous. It was wide, clearly marked, and heavily trafficked. Rangers later noted that dozens of hikers entered and exited the area that day without incident. At 9:42 a.m., Emily sent a photo to her sister. It showed steam rising from Grand Prismatic Spring, sunlight cutting through mist. The caption was simple: "Still can't believe this place is real." That message was the last confirmed contact she ever made. When Emily failed to return to her campsite that evening, no one immediately panicked. Solo hikers were common. Delays happened. Phones lost signal. Rangers advised waiting until morning. By the next day, her tent was still untouched. Her car remained where she had parked it. Inside the vehicle were her wallet, extra clothes, and her laptop. What was missing was her backpack. Search efforts began quietly at first, then escalated rapidly. Dogs tracked her scent along the Fairy Falls Trail for nearly a mile before it abruptly disappeared near a rocky offshoot leading toward a less traveled thermal area. Helicopters scanned the surrounding forest. Rangers searched geothermal zones, aware that one wrong step could mean fatal burns. Nothing turned up. No torn clothing, no blood, no footprints leading away from the trail. By the fourth day, officials began preparing Emily's family for the worst. Yellowstone had claimed people before: falls, hypothermia, wildlife encounters. The park was vast, unforgiving, and indifferent. After 3 weeks, the search was officially scaled back. Emily Carter was declared missing, presumed dead. Her parents returned home with a box of belongings handed over by park staff. Her sister kept the last photo on her phone and refused to delete it. Over time, the story faded from local news, another name added to a quiet list, another unanswered question buried beneath forests and geysers. 7 years passed. Then, on an icy afternoon in October of 2022, a young woman walked into a police station in Bozeman, Montana, wearing clothes that didn't quite fit and carrying no identification. She stood at the front desk for several seconds without speaking. When she finally did, her voice was steady, almost practiced. She said, "I was missing, and I need to tell you what really happened." The officer at the front desk assumed at first that it was a misunderstanding. People walked into police stations every day claiming strange things: mental health crises, confusion, false memories. But something about the woman's posture gave him pause. She wasn't frantic, she wasn't dramatic. She looked exhausted in a way that had nothing to do with sleep. She gave her name slowly, as if testing it: Emily Carter. The officer typed it into the system more out of routine than expectation. The screen froze for a moment. Then a red banner appeared across the top of the file. Status: missing, presumed deceased. 7 years.
The room shifted immediately. A second officer joined them, then a supervisor. Emily was offered water, a blanket, and a chair in a quiet interview room. She accepted all three, but sat on the edge of the chair, hands folded tightly in her lap, eyes fixed on the floor. She didn't ask to call her family. She didn't ask if anyone was looking for her. Instead, she asked one question: "Is it safe here?" That question changed everything. A preliminary medical assessment was ordered before any formal interview began. Paramedics noted signs of long-term malnutrition, muscle atrophy, and scarring on her wrists and ankles that did not match any accidental injury pattern. Some scars were old, others were newer, layered on top of each other in a way that suggested repetition. Then asked how she'd gotten to Bozeman, Emily hesitated. "I walked most of it," she said quietly. "Then buses. I waited until I was sure." Sure of what? No one yet understood. At the hospital, doctors documented dehydration, vitamin deficiencies, and a series of healed fractures that had never been properly treated. Her medical records stopped abruptly at age 19. It was as if she had fallen out of time. When a detective gently asked where she had been all these years, Emily's answer came without emotion: "In a place where I wasn't allowed to be seen." The first full interview didn't happen until 2 days later. Mental health specialists advised short sessions, frequent breaks. Emily showed signs of extreme hypervigilance. Every sound in the hallway made her shoulders tense. When a door closed too loudly, she flinched. The detective asked a question that had haunted her family for years. "What happened in Yellowstone?" Emily took a long breath. "I didn't get lost," she said. "I didn't fall, and I didn't die." She explained that after leaving the main trail near Fairy Falls, she had noticed a man standing near a thermal warning sign. He looked official, neutral clothes, calm voice. He told her a smaller loop trail ahead was temporarily closed and offered to show her a safer route back. She followed him. That decision, made in seconds, erased 7 years of her life. She described being led to a parked van partially hidden by trees. She remembered the smell inside, chemicals, rubber. She remembered realizing something was wrong just as the door slid shut. What happened next came back in fragments, a sharp pressure at her neck, darkness. When she woke, she was underground. Emily stopped speaking at that point. Her hands were shaking. The interview was paused. But detectives already understood one terrifying fact. This wasn't a case of wilderness tragedy. It was abduction. And whoever took her had operated close enough to Yellowstone to understand ranger routines, visitor patterns, and how disappearances there were usually explained away. The case was reopened within hours, and it was about to get much worse. When Emily was able to speak again, she asked for the lights to be dimmed. Bright rooms made her uneasy. She said it reminded her of inspections. No one asked her to explain what that meant. She described the place she was taken to in pieces, never all at once. Underground, concrete walls, no windows, a single bulb that stayed on most of the time. She didn't know where it was, only that it was far from the park and close enough to hear traffic at night if she focused hard enough. There were rules. She learned them quickly. No standing unless told, no speaking unless asked, no looking directly at them. She referred to her captors as the man and the woman. She avoided names even when detectives asked. The psychologist later noted that this wasn't fear of misidentification, it was conditioning. Names gave people reality. She had learned that survival depended on stripping them of that. Emily said she was told very early that she was considered dead, that people had searched, that they had stopped, that her parents had moved on. The woman showed her printed articles, folded and creased from being handled over and over. Missing hiker, presumed accident, no foul play suspected. The message was clear: no one was coming. Food came at irregular intervals, sometimes enough, sometimes barely anything. Time lost meaning. Days were measured by footsteps above her head and the sound of a door unlocking. Punishment wasn't always physical. Sometimes it was silence, other times it was light. Hours with the bulb inches from her face, eyes burning, muscles cramping, forbidden to move. She said that was worse than pain. Pain ended, light didn't. Years passed without markers. She was never told how long she had been there. She only knew because her body changed, because her voice did, because her memories of the outside began to blur at the edges. At some point, she stopped trying to escape, not because she believed she couldn't, but because she believed leaving would cause something worse to happen. The man and the woman talked openly in front of her about her family, where they lived, where they shopped, what time her father left for work. They described her sister's apartment in detail that could only have come from observation. They made sure she understood the connection. Her obedience, they said, kept everyone safe. Emily's first time above ground came more than 4 years after her disappearance. She was given oversized clothes and sunglasses. Her hair was cut short. She was instructed to keep her head down and her mouth shut. They took her out at night. She described seeing streetlights like they were something unreal, like props in a play. People passed within feet of her. Couples, teenagers. Someone laughed. She didn't react. She said reacting felt dangerous, like touching an exposed wire. After that, she was occasionally sent out to do small tasks, always alone, always watched, always with consequences clearly explained in advance. That was how she learned the world had continued without her. That was how she learned how to disappear in plain sight. The reason she survived, according to the doctors, was not strength or resilience in the way people like to imagine it. It was adaptation. Her mind reshaped itself around captivity because it had to. The break didn't come from courage. It came from a mistake. One night, the woman forgot to lock something. Emily didn't even realize it at first. She noticed the absence of a sound she had heard thousands of times before. No click, no metal slide. She waited. Hours passed. Nothing happened. That was when she made a decision that terrified her more than staying ever had. She left. Emily said leaving didn't feel like escape. It felt like trespassing. She moved slowly, barefoot at first, every step deliberate, expecting at any moment to hear her name called out in warning. The space above the room was a narrow corridor. She followed it without knowing where it led, guided only by the faintest draft of colder air. When she reached a door and realized it opened outward, she almost turned back. Outside, it was night, real night, not the artificial darkness she had lived in, but open sky, clouds moving, wind she could feel on her skin. She stood there for several minutes, frozen, because nothing in her past 7 years had prepared her for freedom without instructions. She didn't run. She walked. Emily avoided roads at first, cutting through yards, keeping to shadows. She remembered fragments of geography, towns she'd heard mentioned, directions repeated during car rides when she was supposed to be listening. By morning, she reached a rural highway and followed it until her feet bled. She didn't ask for help. She didn't trust kindness. She waited near bus stops until someone else paid first, then followed, slipping on when doors were still open. She rode without destinations, getting off only when she felt watched. It took her nearly 3 weeks to reach Bozeman. When detectives mapped her route backward, it pointed to a cluster of properties outside a small town less than 60 miles from Yellowstone. Ordinary homes, long driveways, no complaints, no prior police interest. Search warrants were issued quietly. The house that mattered most looked unremarkable: white siding, detached garage, a garden in the back. Neighbors described the couple who lived there as private but polite. No children, no parties, no problems. Inside, everything changed. Behind a false wall in the basement, investigators found a room that matched Emily's descriptions with chilling precision. Soundproofing panels, a reinforced door, a single overhead bulb wired to an external switch, restraints bolted into the concrete floor. Personal items were cataloged carefully, clothing that matched Emily's size from years earlier, notebooks filled with rules written in block letters, schedules, lists, observations about behavior and compliance. This was not impulsive, it was structured. Digital evidence confirmed it: online searches about thermal areas, park visitor patterns, and missing person statistics. Archived news articles about Emily herself, printed and highlighted. Files labeled with dates corresponding to her captivity. The couple was arrested without incident. During interrogation, they spoke calmly, too calmly. They framed what they had done as caretaking, as necessity, as something they believed she would not have survived otherwise. They were wrong. Emily testified via video months later. She never looked at them. She didn't need to. Her voice was flat, measured, and steady in a way that unsettled everyone in the room. She did not ask for punishment. She did not describe revenge. She described facts. That was enough. Both were convicted on multiple counts, including kidnapping, unlawful confinement, and aggravated abuse. Sentencing ensured they would never live freely again. Emily declined interviews. She declined public appearances. She returned to her family quietly. Recovery, doctors said, would not be linear. Some days she functioned normally. Other days she asked permission to leave rooms, to eat, to sleep. Trauma doesn't release its grip all at once. But she was alive, and the truth she brought with her rewrote a case that had once been dismissed as just another tragedy of the wilderness. Because Emily Carter was never lost to Yellowstone, she was taken, and she came back to make sure the world knew the difference.